Movsar, let's go back to December last year. You beat Aljo Sterling. We talked to you after the win. You said you wanted to have at least one fight before Ramadan, even at the fight night. What happened next?
The whole time I was ready to fight. I was ready even at the end of January. I was asking the UFC to find me an opponent. If you go through my Twitter, you can see there that I was even ready to fight people who weren't ranked. I was willing to fight a guy who was just signed to the UFC if the tops didn't want to fight me. Because I wanted to stay active, to prove once again that any fight is welcome. I was never looking for the easy way out. But we have what we have. Until today, no opponent has been found for me yet. I was offered a debutant, Pico, a very good athlete. To be honest, I was very much energized for this fight because Pico is a well-known character in MMA circles, wrestling circles. He's a good wrestler, with a good base and with knockout power. But the UFC wanted to move this fight to a later date, sometime towards the end of the summer. I didn't want to wait that long.
What was the point of the fight with Pico? You're 9-0 in the UFC.
I wasn't really looking for that kind of meaning, to be honest. I just wanted to be active. In my opinion, Pico is one of those fighters who, even though he's not the top of the UFC, he can make some noise. Diego Lopez was a debutant when he came out against me. And after he lost to me, he had 5 or 6 wins in a row. And then he fought for the belt. So you don't have to be in the UFC for a long time to be a good fighter. There's a lot of good fighters.
About Pico, he was introduced just before the Miami event. And he told John Anik that his goal is to be UFC champion by the end of the year. Is that realistic?
Good for him. I think everything is realistic when it's not about me and finding an opponent for me. Everybody has the opportunity to move quickly in the UFC, to get a fight for the belt quickly, just not me. But I have enough patience. I am not going anywhere. Until I get that belt, I am here. Keep that in mind.
About the belt and the title fight. Did anyone ever come out to you about the UFC in Miami?
No, nothing like that. As I understand it, the UFC is trying to keep me as far away from anything title-related as possible. I was at UFC 314. After the fight, I had the opportunity to talk to the UFC. They did not want this. When the tournament was over, we were walking out through the hallway. Volk was standing not far from me, talking to the fans, talking to the staff, taking pictures. He was even just in shorts. He didn't even have time to put on a t-shirt. The doctors had not even examined him yet. He was standing there, talking. And I wanted to go up to him, talk to him, congratulate him personally, ask him about the fight. But the security guys did not give me this opportunity and took me to the opposite side. This shows who the UFC wants to see in the fight for the belt. That they somehow let it down smoothly some fighters, so that there is a story. Apparently, in their eyes, I am not worthy of the title yet. Give me the opportunity to prove that I am worthy. If 9 wins in the best organization in the world is not enough, I am ready to fight 9 more times. Maybe the UFC will sign someone else, some debutant, for me to test him. I am here. Look, the story is very similar to what Magomed Ankalaev had at light heavyweight. And Khabib, even if we remember him, how many wins in a row did he have? 10? And Islam had 11 wins in a row when he wasn't even getting top bouts. Almost all fighters from Russia had a similar story. But I hope that soon the UFC will have no choice but to let me fight for the title. Or are there any other contenders for the title? I'd love to test them out. I've heard Yair wanted to fight for the title. If he thinks he's more worthy to fight for the title, I have an opinion on that. I don't think you're worthy to fight for the belt if you don't pass me. Let a fight with me be your ticket to a title race or a title fight. I am excited for any fight. When I dreamed of the UFC, I never thought there wouldn't be fighters in the whole roster to fight with. That's how hard times are in the UFC.
About the fact that it's difficult roads for guys from Russia. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's a meme called Danny White's Nightmare. And there are you, Hamzat, Islam, Umar, and Ankalaev with the belts.
Yeah. That story's kind of on its way to becoming true. After that, Merab took the belt. Also from the Caucasus. Then there was Bilal. Topuria is no longer the champion. I am not belittling what he's done. He's a good fighter that I would love to fight too. Now Hamzat posted that there seems to be some good news. I hope it's news that he's going to fight for the title. I think it's 99%, if not 100%. Duplessis won't be a problem for him. Here comes another belt. And me. I am off to a slow start.
How'd you like the main event in Miami?
It was a good fight. It was intense. There were some interesting moments. The fight was more in the stand-up. There were fights on each side. Volk chose the defensive tactic. If you noticed, in each round, when there were 90 seconds left, Volk tried to take the fight to the ground. In the first round, he succeeded, but from the second round on, Lopez started to show good defense. Maybe it wasn't Lopez's defense that was good, but Volk's attempts to take the fight to the ground weren't as solid. Probably the latter. I watched these desperate attempts by Volk and thought that if I had tried to move Diego, I would have gotten it done. And after watching this fight, I am convinced once again that I am ready to fight for the belt like nobody else. And I don't see any problem for me to become a champion. I just need a chance, a title fight. That's it.
Did you envision yourself in the octagon during the fight?
Like I said, Lopez was dangerous throughout the fight because he wasn't exhausted. Alex didn't put any serious pressure on him. And even when Alex tried to move Diego to the floor, it was more for the purpose of wearing him down. Lopez grappling is good, but pass defense and lifting from the floor is not his thing. So if I put Diego in the clinch, he'll stay there for the rest of the round. or until I finish him. I've seen that I can get to his feet anytime I want, especially since his height allows it. He's a very comfortable opponent for my style. Plus, I didn't see anything supernatural in his stand-up, except that he holds his punches very well. He landed at least 50 punches in each round. That's a lot. And I think I have a harder punch than Volk.
If you fight for the title against Volk, don't you want to train a little bit with Islam? He's got a lot of experience fighting Volk.
Islam is bigger than me. I have my own team, American Top Team. I've been training in this gym for a long time. It wouldn't be right to change camps right before a title fight. It's not only my dream, it's the dream of everyone on American Top Team. I already consider myself 100% American Top Team fighter. Although, I started in Russia, in Ingushetia. But the last 5 years, probably the most important 5 years of my career, were spent in American Top Team. So I would like to take the belt representing them.
Continuing the theme of Volk and Islam, even Islam seemed to have a certain amount of trouble getting Alex down.
I wouldn't take Islam and Alex's first fight as an example. Islam is cutting a fair amount of weight, and his body needs a certain amount of time to recover. Usually the UFC gives us a day and a half. We weigh in Friday morning and fight Saturday night. A little over a day and a half. And the fight was in Australia, and they fought early in the morning. The same Zubero went to the arena at 3 in the morning. So there was less time to recover. And Volk didn't make a lot of weight. He fought at 155 pounds. And his recovery was much quicker. I think the weight cut had an impact on this fight. And in the second fight, we saw a more confident Islam. And the result was expected.
About Alex and Diego, I don't know if you saw it or not. Each of them talked about you before the fight. And if Volk did it in a respectful enough manner, yes, Movsar will be next. Diego seemed annoyed by the questions about you.
Diego lost to me. I mean, he's beaten everyone the UFC has given him. Except me. I guess he's kind of annoyed by that fact. And Volk is just more experienced. This isn't his first big event. He's more confident. If Lopez had been given time to think about his answer, maybe he would have responded with more dignity. But it's understandable. I didn't hear anything that hurt me personally from him.
Let's think positive. You're the next title challenger. Where would you like to fight, Abu Dhabi or the States?
I don't care if it's in his backyard. It doesn't make any difference to me. I don't cut that much weight. It's not hard for me to recover. I don't have any acclimatization. I've fought in America, in the Emirates, in China. A lot of people complain about the difficult acclimatization in Vegas. But maybe my body has not yet understood what acclimatization is. Even in Thailand, I start training hard from the first day. And I don't feel any overload. So any place is suitable for me.
But in Abu Dhabi, the arena will support you. Here, they'll start booing you from day one.
Why is that? I don't think so. I have a lot of fans in America. The ones who really know about the UFC, about MMA. People who still see it as a sport, not a show. Michael Chandler, for example, he's got a circle of fans that are rooting for him to the end. They're interested in him in their own way. Yeah, he's never beaten anybody but Tony. And Tony was on the decline, to say the least. Michael loses every fight. But people are still interested in him. But there are people who say he's had enough. People who don't expect anything from him. Especially championship ambitions. So I am okay with that. There will always be haters who want you to lose. When a man is undefeated, a lot of people expect him to lose. Not because they don't like him. They just want to see how a particular fighter reacts. How he'll behave after the first defeat. Maybe deep down I am also wondering what will happen if I lose. Although hopefully we won't find that out for anyone. But this zero pressures you psychologically? No, it doesn't. I go to every fight with a clear conscience. I realize that I have done more than what is required of me. Victories and defeats are from the Almighty. I am ready for any result. I think it is much easier to go into the octagon with this attitude. If you're confident in your abilities, and I am, these are fights. It's just that some people like to dramatize. Such a big responsibility. What will happen if I lose? I don't go into the octagon like that. Every sparring is a war for me. Some sparrings are even harder than fights. I just go out and do my job, which I did all my conscious life. Nothing supernatural. About sparring.
Harder than fights. The most difficult sparring partner for you.
AT has some of the world's most popular fighters. Edson Barbosa, for example, they don't agree to stand up sparring. I haven't even seen Edson sparring with anyone in the last few years. He takes someone new to the fight to work his tactics, techniques on them. That's probably the right approach. But I need to go through a war to be ready for war. I like to do a couple of good hard sparring sessions to even start doubting myself in the moment. And then go out to fight and be ready for anything. As Suvorov said, hard in training, easy in battle. This saying is always relevant for me.
Weight cut. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense. I weigh about 170 pounds in the off-season. Even if they cancel the weight cut, if they tell me I don't have to weight race anymore, not everybody's going to sign up for it. People will look for workarounds. Or they are going to keep their weight on throughout their training. And fighters won't be on a level playing field when they go out to fight. But there has to be a limit to everything. Because weight cut takes a lot of health, especially for those who cut a lot of weight. But for me, a comfortable weight is 145 pounds. I fought at 135 before. And the preparation for each fight was getting harder and harder for me. As you get older, your body gets stronger and it's harder to lose weight. So you have to change weight classes.
Why I'm asking? I'm going to ask a layman's question, but two things are bugging me. First of all, you go out to fight at 145. Friday morning, you weigh 145 pounds. After that, you eat a burger or whatever. And you come to the fight at 155. And that's a lightweight.
No, nobody fights at 155. You're gonna be 155 2 hours after the weigh-in. Because you're just pouring 5 liters of water into yourself. And not one drop of it is leaving your depleted body. And 5 liters is 10 pounds. So fighters gain at least 15, 17 pounds. Sometimes it goes up to 25. But I like to gain 10% of the weight I am fighting at. If the fight is at 145 pounds, I am gaining 1,415 pounds. It's perfect to fight a lot and not get stiff.
And the second question, if it's not short notice, you know about your fight about 2 months in advance. Okay, there's no question about you. You were one of the first to go to the weigh-in at UFC 310. But there are some people who wait until the last minute for the official weigh-in and try to shed those extra pounds. I'm wondering what motivates these people. You know about the fight 2 months in advance, and you can't prepare yourself for it.
You know, every weight cut is different. You can't calculate your body 100%. For example, my friend Magomed Umalatov, who recently failed the weigh-in at the PFL tournament. He always left 15 pounds on the last night. And I was surprised how easily he always got rid of that weight. He had those 15 pounds gone in a matter of hours. I have to run 80 miles to lose 15 pounds. Because I sweat a little differently. And at some point, his body failed. He didn't have the energy to keep going. He didn't have the realization that he could have easily recovered from the weight race. And he had to withdraw from the fight. Because his body failed him. You can keep 1 pound. I, for example, once fought in a different weight class because I didn't have 0.5 pounds left. It happens. The body just malfunctioned. Maybe it's due to heavy training. Or if you didn't calculate your diet correctly. There's a lot of factors that can affect that. And I like to be reassured. I'd rather start early. Stay up all night. Be thirsty and hungry. But I'll know that I'll be the first to weigh in. And I'll have more time to recover.
Gene Silva had a story like that in Miami. Caio Barallo told it. The last pound left and Silva just stopped sweating.
It happens. If you take my last fight, before I signed with the UFC, I fought at 135 pounds. I was defending the belt against a Brazilian. I had to make 135 pounds. And to lose 4 pounds, I had to sit in a sauna for 8 hours. And it wasn't just a warm steam room. It was over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. My cornerman couldn't even just go in there. They could drink water, though. They were waiting for me in the hallway. And I didn't feel cold or hot. And there was no hint of sweat. Sometimes that happens. Your body just refuses to sweat.
One last thing. Did you ever crave for a burger the week of the weigh-in?
By the way, the place we had coffee at has really good burgers. Fish burgers. My favorite in Miami. But I don't really crave burgers during the weight cut. I am more of a red meat kind of guy. I used to love ice cream, but I haven't had ice cream in a long time. I don't eat it anymore.
If you, or rather, when you take the title, fighters always correct me.
If I take it, you gotta fight for it to take it. If I fight for the belt, go on.
Let's say you already have the belt around your waist. Are you planning on defending it?
Yeah. I should probably defend the title. What can I do?
Your quote, I'll go for Topuria. Even if he goes to the middleweight, I want his head.
That won't stop me from defending the belt. You don't have to leave the title. I'll go to another weight for a specific fight. And I'll defend my belt. But I suspect that even if I have the belt, I'll still have a hard time finding opponents. If there are no opponents, why not?
But are you interested in Topuria? As Topuria or as a champion?
I am interested in Topuria because he is undefeated. He is good in every aspect. In wrestling, in striking. It's like the case of Aaron Pico here. For me, the UFC is not just about winning a title and making money. Although it is important for me, for my fellow countrymen, for the people who are waiting for the belt in Ingushetia, for my family, to make a good day, to make good conditions for my family. But I started in MMA to become the best. To fight with the best. And I am going towards this goal. If I look for convenient opponents that I will definitely win against. If I don't have any challenge in fights, I will torment myself. It will burn me from the inside out. When I was offered Pico, I didn't want to fight him at first, because he's a debutant, and that fight wouldn't have advanced me to the title. But then I was embarrassed that people would think I thought he was too strong. And there was some kind of fear to fight with him. Like, it's more of a risk to fight a no-name, especially a fighter of Pico's level. Therefore, I did not think for a long time and agreed to this fight. First of all, to prove to myself that I am ready for any fight.
So that you wouldn't be misrepresented. No name, you meant a debutant, right?
Yeah. A lot of people don't know him. He's popular with athletes and casual people who just watch the big tournaments with Conor and John Jones. For them, the roster of fighters is very distant.
Let's go back to Topuria. You said that you want to take his zero. If by the time you become champion he's already lost to Islam, Charles Paddy, will you still be interested in him?
If it loses to Islam, it will not diminish his merits. Islam is a different level. He's bigger. Islam is a champion in a heavier weight class. Islam is number one regardless of weight classes. So there's no shame in losing to Islam. And to write off Topuria just because of a loss to Islam would be too stupid.
About the Islam versus Topuria fight, there are two opinions. One, Topuria is the champion and he should fight Islam. The second is that Topuria, having moved up to lightweight, should seek a fight with Islam through other fights.
I believe both opinions are correct. At 155, there are good fighters in Islam's division who can cause big problems for Topuria. For example, Arman Zarukian, Justin, and Dustin Poirier will show a good fight, because he has a good jab and a good punch.
And Paddy Pimblett?
To be honest, a lot of people underestimate him. Paddy's very big for his weight class. And he's just physically stronger than anyone he's fought to this point. You could see him throwing Chandler around. And Chandler is a fighter with a good base. Physically strong, but he's smaller. Paddy can take fights like Ian Gary with minimal damage to himself. And maybe I am saying it wrong now, but he can steal his opponent's time. Work for points and come out victorious. Is that what you do? No, I always go forward. I just have a Greco-Roman wrestling background. I wrestle a lot. But in my last fight, I plan to take it in the stand. But my opponent had a different opinion. He started wrestling from the first minute. I had to return the favor. And lying on the canvas, it would be inappropriate to show my striking technique.
Let's finish this Topuria thing. Is this personal to you? You two had a history on social media back in the day.
He was blabbing things he didn't need to. But he didn't do it because he had a grudge against me. He just didn't do it from a great mind. You've been asked about someone. And you can either appreciate what your opponent is doing, it's still a tough job. To go out in front of an audience of millions and fight at that level. And be one of the first in the world. I think every fighter is worthy of respect. And there are some people who attract the hype. Can be unflattering. I just don't take that talk personally. If you count all the fighters about whom Ilya said the wrong thing.
There's a line.
Yeah, a lot of fighters. But if our fight is scheduled, I'd be happy to do it. Then I can prove my worth. If you meet him, will you shake his hand?
If he stretches his hand, sure. Won't you be the first to do it?
I think it will be right if he stretches his hand himself. Considering he's allowed himself to make unflattering remarks about me.
You changed your manager. It's Abdelaziz now. How important is a manager to an MMA fighter?
A manager can make a fighter's journey a lot easier if he wants to. This applies to financial support and finding sponsors. His interest is very important. But being where I am, you have to consider the opinion of the matchmakers and the UFC management. They do what's best for the promotion. And in the end, the decision is made by the UFC. Who to fight, who not to fight. But a good manager is worth his weight in gold.
Continuing on the subject of Ali, everyone is already joking that he is tweeting for Magomed Ankalaev. Do you run your own Twitter yourself?
Mostly, yes. But Twitter does not work in Russia, as we know. So my close friend has access to my account. And if I have any thoughts, I send them to him and he posts them. Or if someone advises me on what to tweet, I am always open to good advice. But I have the final word. So I run my own social media. Ankalaev is not that good at English. And even a Google translation may not be entirely accurate. That's something you have to reckon with too.
That's why I asked. After you signed with Ali, you had some outbursts on Twitter about Diego Lopez.
It's not like you mark off days when you have something to post. If there is a topic to discuss, if I have something to say, I tweet. If I am busy with the training process, you don't think about Instagram or Twitter. If I get sent that someone said something about me, I have to respond. And just saying that or challenging someone to a fight seems pointless to me. If nobody expects your opinion, it's just empty talk. I think it's better to talk less, but to the point.
How do you feel about trash talk? Or should we leave that to Colby, Holland, and the others?
As for trash talk, I am probably positive. But there are some people who are suitable for trash talk. Take Ankalaev, for example. If he starts talking shit, it will not sound organically. Each person is different in his own way. And it is important to remain yourself. To reach your peaks, staying true to yourself. You don't have to play to the public or try to please everyone. It will look ridiculous in the end.
Soccer player Vinnie Jones once said that if there was no soccer, he would be a gangster. If there was no MMA, what would Movsar Evloev be?
To be honest, I am good at everything. I am good at everything. Thank God. I didn't lose my mind or my physical strength, so I wouldn't get lost. Now all my thoughts are so busy with my career in MMA that it's hard to focus on something specific. Of course, I would like to do something related to some business, maybe real estate or construction. By the way, I am good at construction. I've worked as a foreman and laborer. I am interested in everything. Maybe something related to traveling. But if I take the belt, it will further connect my life with sports at a high level. There will be a lot of good connections that will lead to interesting business plans. Honestly, that's a tough question.
Let me put it another way. Continue the phrase. Not many people know, but Movsar Evloyev is very good at
making coffee.
By the way, Movsar made this coffee. Is there anyone you'd like to apologize to?
There are many. I have a very good memory. And I remember all the cringe moments from school age. You remember an episode and think, I wish I could go back now and say things differently. There are many moments when I acted wrongly or not according to my conscience, and I would like to change them. But I don't have any mortal sins. That somehow I've displeased a man. ID probably apologized to Lentz. After the fight with me, he had surgery and lost his eye. Maybe that fight had something to do with it. But I wouldn't want to believe it. To be honest, it's a fight I regret.
When was the last time you ate fast food?
Fast food is burgers. McDonald's. The last time I was at McDonald's was in 2017 when I went to see Khabib fight at the Emirates. I was highly advised to try McDonald's at the Emirates because it's different there. And I enjoyed it, and so I can sometimes afford a burger or a pizza.
But the first time I met you, it was in Istanbul. You were after a leg operation. And I remember you talked a lot about your diet.
And I am still dieting. I don't eat sugar. I try to stay away from junk food as much as possible, especially when I am in the process of training for this or that fight. Because eating right is very important. So is sleep. It's probably even more important than the training itself.
What advice can you give to 20-year-old Movsar Evloev?
Don't listen to those who say you train too much. Throughout my career, I've been constantly pulled back. As if I overtrain. As if I work too much. Like I should give my body more rest. In fact, the body is so individual to each person. And the body is very underestimated. There were many times when I thought I couldn't do it. But in the end, I was succeeding. I am still at a stage where I can still evolve. So there is no limit to perfection.
What is the scariest animal on earth? Man. A meal you're ready to eat 247. Steak with blood. Rare. Yes. Your dream that will never come true?
I guess I have a lot of dreams like that. Well, so, to be honest, nothing comes to mind. Give me an example. What would be my dream?
I don't know. Maybe you want to go to space.
I think it's still possible. I am 30 years old. In America, after 30, people can change their lives so drastically. They take different courses, change jobs after 20 years. For example, a 50-year-old man can just change his life dramatically. Well, everything is possible.